Setting prices is something that is so critical to your guys' business when you guys are starting your assisted living home. So in this video, I'm going to explain that to make sure that you guys aren't undercharging or overcharging on your prices. That way you guys can get residents into your home and making sure that they're paying you guys what you guys need to be paid. So make sure you guys stick around. What's up everyone? I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to my channel. To all my reoccurring viewers, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have shown this channel. So I am more than grateful for that. And if you haven't, and if you're new here, make sure to go join the Facebook group that I've created called Legion Assisted Living Academy. Make sure you guys answer the 3 questions prior to requesting yourselves into the group. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. Now, when it comes to pricing, there are a couple factors that you guys want to consider. And the number one factor is the area that you guys are in. I know I have talked about this in previous videos that I have made about assisted living, what you guys should do, but that is the number one factor. You guys want to look at the other homes around your area and see what they're charging for private, semi-privates, and whatever it is that they have when it comes to the services that they provide for the residents. And you want to go ahead and start there as your guys' baseline. Once you guys have that in place, you guys can then tailor it to specific needs and wants of your business and the things that the residents need. So for instance, the way I like to structure my pricing is to look at my competition, and then from there, you know, provide extra things that I can charge just a little bit more, or provide some type of discount if they're on specific services. And in that way, it makes the families more comfortable moving their loved one into the home. And so that's the number one factor you guys want to consider, is the area that you're in. Once you guys have that down, you then want to take in consideration the services that you provide. You know, the basics are, for the base that they're going to be paying, is laundry, dishes, food. All the basic necessities are under the umbrella of the base price, right? So let's just use an example, okay? The average charge for a private bedroom is $3,600. They're not only paying for bed and board, but you know, they're paying for everything else, right? So for $3,600, they're getting the room, they're getting all the things that come in the house, right? The laundry, the food, the basic services, okay? And they have access to TV, Wi-Fi, all these other things, okay? These are like the basic things that you need to have in your home in order for you to charge the $3,600. Now, what you can do from there is tailor it. And what do I mean by tailoring it? You can provide discounts, like I mentioned. Like for instance, what I do is, if the resident comes on hospice, for instance, okay? Knowing that they're going to be providing, hospice is going to be providing a lot of supplies, a lot of equipment for the resident, I offer the family a discount, okay? So I usually offer a $500 discount with hospice. I do that way. You guys don't have to. Other homes probably don't do that, but that just makes me stand out a little bit more, and it also makes the family reassured that they're not having to pay so much money. So from there, I then, you know, depending if they're not on hospice, I'll charge the full amount. Regardless, I'll charge the $3,600. Now, what can happen then is, if the resident is requiring a lot more care, for instance, they're on tube feeding, they have a catheter, they have other things that take specialized training in order to take care of them. If that's what they require, then you then want to charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000 more, depending on how many of those things that they need, right? And that, because you're going to have to hire special staff, or you're going to have to take time to get them trained in order to take care of that resident. So that only makes sense to charge the family more due to the factors that the resident needs more care, okay? So those are a couple of factors that you guys need to consider when you guys are setting your pricing for residents. Now, another thing is, depending on the equipment that they have, okay? For instance, you will have residents who are on condensers. You'll have residents who require O2 tanks. If they're on anything like a condenser or a CPAP, or anything that requires to be plugged in and is electrical, that's gonna run up your electric bill, okay? So keep that in mind, guys. If they're on a condenser, they may or may not be on hospice, okay? If they're not on hospice and they're on a condenser, or they're requiring something that takes up a lot of electricity and is going to run up your electric bill, you guys want to charge them just a little more, a couple $100s more, just to offset that cost of electricity. Okay, you guys will tweak certain little things like that on what you charge them and what you don't charge them. But as for the care of the resident, you know, I have someone ask me a question on the Facebook group: do you charge residents who require less care more, or do you charge residents less who don't require as much care, or do you charge more for residents who require more care? And the answer to that is yes, I do, but with reason. You don't want to, like I say, overcharge or undercharge, right? If a resident is really hard, but they have a budget of, let's say, $2,500 or $3,000, okay, and you have a private available, if you want to, what you can do is just tell the family, listen, your family member, your loved one is a complicated and is going to require a little bit more care. Therefore, you guys need to pitch in a couple $100 more. That's just a fact. And you want to be reasonable with them, and you want to tell them why you're going to be charging more. Now, if they're, for the most part, mostly independent and they're a lot easier and they are paying less, it may be worth taking the person that's paying less than it is to take the person who requires more care and is not paying, or is paying well. It all varies, okay, depending on how well trained your staff is. You may want to take the harder resident and who pays more, but you want to be taking consideration that you don't want to burn out your caregivers. So taking a resident who pays more, who's harder, may not always be the better solution. You may want to actually take the resident who's more independent and is paying less. Now, if they're more independent and paying more, then obviously that's the ideal situation you want to have, and that's the ideal client you want to move into your home. But that's not always the case, guys. So to answer the question of, do you charge more? Well, you got a baseline, and you go based off of the baseline. And it could be sometimes flexible, right? You want to be a little flexible. Like if you're setting your price at $3,600 for a private room, regardless of what their situation is, you then want to go from there. If they're a lot more independent and their budget is only $33,000 or $3,200, you may want to actually come down from that price. You want to drop the price of $400 just to move in that resident into the home and work with the family. Now, if a resident comes and they got tube feeding, they got all kinds of stuff, a colostomy, they got a catheter, you're going to bump up that price, right? You may bump it up to $4,600 or even $5,000, right? And go from there. If they're able to afford $5,000, then it may make sense for you to actually take them on and deal with the level of care that they're at. And so in some cases, they may actually be on home health, and they may actually be on like hospice, okay, or different services that help you guys out. So if they're still willing to pay you $5,000 and they're on a ton of these services, that will be worth it for you guys. Whereas this person who comes in, who may be independent but is on hospice, may come down, right, and they have a budget of $2,800, right? So you guys got to take in consideration different factors when it comes to how you guys adjust your pricing. It's not always going to be $3,600. It's not always going to be, what you guys are asking, but it's always good to have a base for that. That way you guys have something to work off of, and you guys are able to charge the families a certain price or give them even discounts due to the fact that they have different services. So hopefully, guys, that makes a lot more sense on how you guys should set your prices. I know that this video is something that you guys have been requesting a lot, and that's just how I do it. And I want to just keep it real with you guys that you guys are going to have to be flexible with your pricing sometimes. Not everybody can afford the amount that you charge, right? And sometimes you do have to be firm, though. Sometimes you do have to just put your foot down and say, this is what it's going to cost. It's non-negotiable. This is what I've decided. That's why it's good to go and do assessments of the residents beforehand, before saying yes, you'll take them on. Because when you go and do your assessment of them, you'll have a way better idea of how much you guys can charge them. if for the most part, a lot of families do give me a budget. Okay, they do ahead of time give me a budget. So once they give me a budget, I then ask them about their loved one. You know, what is it that they need? How much level of care are they needing to get? Are they ambulatory? Are they not? I do a full-on assessment, ask them a ton of questions. That way I can make sure that, you know, it's worth it at that price. And from there, you know, if it sounds like, oh, well, your loved one sounds like someone who's going to require a lot more care for like that little amount of money, you will probably tell them no. Okay, and it's okay to tell people no. I think so many people are afraid to tell family members, no, I can't afford to take on your loved one into my home. It's not going to be a good fit. Okay, be okay with saying no. You guys don't want to just burn yourselves out and take every resident. And yes, there is that saying, you know, some money is better than no money, right? Just because you have a vacancy and someone's willing to pay you X amount of dollars, well, you'd rather take the X amount of dollars than have nothing, right? But you guys keep in mind that it's not just about the money. It's also about the staff that you guys have. It's also about the other residents. Will you be able to provide the proper care to all the residents? You know, if this one resident moves in, right? You guys need to keep all of this stuff in mind, and that's what it takes to run a business like this. It's not cookie cutter, and it's not black and white, and it's not any of that. If it was, I mean, everybody would be successful at it. Everybody would be doing it, and it requires a lot more attention than just moving residents in. You know, because at the same time, guys, these are human beings, and they are people that need to be loved and cared about. And I know in hospitals and stuff, these residents are just a number. In rehabs, in big skilled nursing facilities, these residents are just numbers to them. And it's just like, how much money can they make charging Medicare off of this specific resident or charging their insurance, right? Whereas we assisted living homeowners aren't charging Medicare. We can't. We aren't qualified under the Medicare. Medicaid, yes, but Medicaid has set a limit to how much they pay us. So regardless, guys, there's no benefit to us just taking whoever and making them pretty much a number. You have to be very careful at the end of the day how you admit residents into your home and how much they're going to pay you. So guys, I mean, that is pretty much it. And if you guys stuck all the way to the end of the video and this video was informative for you guys, make sure to hit that like button. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And again, do not forget to go request yourselves into the Facebook group that I created. I will link it down below. It's called Legion Assisted Living Academy. And also, guys, go watch all these other videos. They're very informative. And thank you again, guys. I appreciate you all. And I will see you guys all in the next video. God bless. Peace.